What's up, everyone? This is Rayuka here, and welcome to another podcast. As you may notice, the audio is cleaned up, is very clear because it took us some time to figure out how to sort out this audio issue, but now it's sorted out. Um, and I said we because, well, I have AzureNova as a guest on today's podcast. So
Hi.
there goes the introduction. Um, and just be aware the podcast is for mature audiences. And now that I got that out of the way, there's quite a bit to talk about. Yes, there is. Oh, yeah. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is
Oh
I'm trying.
no.
I know, like, I'm trying to figure out exactly how to word this one. So there was some sort of odd, I guess more. I don't know if I could call it a confusion or whatever, because when you text words on the garbage site Twitter, um, it's text, right? So it's not like you're wording it out your mouth. So it may come off a certain kind of way that isn't meant to be, but then it's gonna come off that way anyways. And
Too bad.
we live in a day and age where obviously people's lives are on social media or whatever, but that's anyways. And Azure knows my feelings towards Twitter, right? Twitter, I feel that anyway,
Dumpster fire.
it's a dumpster fire. Yes, it is. So there's another content creator out there named Wolfmonger. I do want to be clear, I have no beef with this guy. We follow one another on Twitter. Every now and then we, I guess, joke around or whatever. But anyways, so he puts out a tweet, right? And I'm reading this. So for those who are wondering, he puts, there is a character in Street Fighter extended universe called Maple Storm. She is a Canadian wrestler, and in the comics, she basically roasts Dan or whatever. So that's just me simplifying. I'm not gonna read the rest of that. I reply saying comics are not canon, referring to the Street Fighter Udon comics or mangas. They're just not canon to Street Fighter the video game. And I'll get into that shortly why I feel that way. So he follows up saying, never said it was. That's exactly why I said extended universe. I reply saying, though the comics are wishful thinking at best, the Street Fighter games usually take ideas from the Udon comics runs, etc., and puts parts into the lore. It is what it is. And
Okay.
then he replies saying, you say wishful thinking, yet here's Maple Storm's official Capcom profile on the Shadaloo site, right? So that's the site, for those who don't know, where Capcom basically puts up a bunch of pointless things about character profiles. Most of these characters aren't even in the damn game. At this point, they might as well throw in all the rival school characters, but they won't do it, even though there's a rival school character in the game. Put it like this, I do not take the Shadaloo psych profile, whatever, all these characters seriously. Why? Because they're not in the games. They're not. They're just they're there for eye candy. That's what that site's for. It's there to mess with people's feelings, fans' feelings, right? They're like, oh my gosh, this is Ratsu's profile. He's from Street Fighter One, but shit, he's never been in the game since Street Fighter One. I wonder what happened. I mean, a lot of these characters in this site either never appeared or they appeared in comics or whatever, and they're just thrown in there. It's not like they're gonna appear in the game. So to me, even the site itself can be argued it's even canon in its damn self because of how disorganized the Street Fighter lore is. That's my opinion. So I follow up with saying the story of Street Fighter is like throwing eggs to the wall, and I ended it like that. And then Wolfmonger's followers or whatever, they just started putting their 2 cents, which I could care less for. No offense to Wolfmonger, I just don't, and because I don't take Twitter seriously. But this is my point, right? Now I'm gonna segue into the Street Fighter lore and why I think the way I think of it. The Street Fighter
Okay.
lore, right? Okay, on this site, it's taking little segments from the comics, right? It's adding some characters from the Udon comics in there, and they're just like twisting and altering the stories to fit whatever narrative they want to. Okay, but then now that they technically confirm rival school characters, I don't see them all in there either. I don't see them all on the site. Just one character. Maybe. Now, it could be wrong. I didn't scan through the whole damn site. But the way I see it, it's like, here's a fun fact. Street Fighter released Rose not that far long ago, right? And when they released Rose and her story, they alluded to the idea that maybe in Street Fighter 6, there might be this whole Back to the Future story. Because when the story is already screwed up as it is and does not make sense, why not go back in time and just reboot it all? I mean, that's the cop-out, right? Just erase everything. So it gives an excuse to bring in more DLC and to milk what should be there that isn't there that ends up being locked behind a paywall, right? I mean, that makes sense. And it's no secret that Capcom has a track record of doing this. I mean, they did it with Street Fighter V, where they released their bare bones, no story mode, no arcade mode, straight up online, very small roster. And for people to come out, because I've seen this, in the FGC, the amount of hypocrisy is laughable. When Street Fighter V came out, there was so much hate towards Street Fighter V because of its small roster and its crappy online. And all of a sudden, because next year is around the corner and it's no secret that Street Fighter 6 is coming around, right? Everybody's like, oh, well, let's just praise this game again, even though there's barely any information besides Luke potentially being the face of Street Fighter 6. But then you have the direct...
I just need Minot and Jerry.
You see, that's the problem. There's players just like Azure that they don't care about the story. It's just like, give me my characters. I don't give a shit about none of this.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. But to finish my little rant, right? The Street Fighter story, it to me... Oh my gosh. I'm experiencing a Biden moment right now where I'm about to forget what I was gonna say. Shit.
And Sakura.
You know something? Hold up. Look, well, I'm trying to get
and Dudley.
Oh shit. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of lost track what I was gonna say. Look, long day.
Very
okay.
Few characters.
Hold on.
Street Fighter like
But wait, my point is that the Street Fighter story, right? 6, whatever. Because it's obvious it's coming. The writing is on the wall already, kind of, for how they're gonna approach the DLC, right? The last season for Street Fighter gave a good idea how they're going to approach DLC going into the future of Street Fighter. So I wouldn't be surprised when Street Fighter 6 comes out that they have this same kind of style going forward, where there's like 2 different season passes, a premium or whatever, and then the regular one where they give you the characters or whatever. And
for the record, I did play through Street Fighter 5 story though.
And how you feel about that story? How do you feel about Shadowfall, Nova?
It's alright. That's it. Just here's that. Nothing to write.
Look. That's Azure's opinion. Maybe I'm a harsh critic, but even though I enjoyed the Street Fighter series, Shadowfall was disappointing.
I never said it was good.
No. I'm not debating you. I'm just saying for me. Now, this is why. The producer, director, or whatever that's currently at the helm of Street Fighter basically sort of, I don't know if it's like semi-confirmed or whatever, that Street Fighter 3 is happening during Street Fighter 5. I just want to facepalm myself at the bullshit.
Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 3.
I know, it's like the bullshittery that's happening. I'm like, hold up. There was all these speculations, right, that Street Fighter 6 was going to be a retelling of Street Fighter 3. But then, now that this is out in the open, I'm like, okay, so now somehow, some way, Street Fighter 3 is happening between Street Fighter 5. And it doesn't even make sense. And the argument could be said, oh, the arcade mode. You don't even have all the characters from Third Strike in Street Fighter V. How in the hell is it happening during Street Fighter 3? Oh, well, this could be some of the justification. Some people will say, well, some of the characters from Third Strike did appear in Street Fighter V. You know, it's all bullshit. Because before this whole Street Fighter 3 debacle story crap that just suddenly happened, it was Street Fighter 5 and then Street Fighter 3. Now it's the other way around. Now apparently somehow they fused and Street Fighter 3 is happening somehow in between Street Fighter 5. It doesn't make sense right now. It just doesn't. And this is the problem with the Street Fighter story. It's like taking the animes, right? I have Street Fighter Alpha and then I have Street Fighter Alpha Generations. That's like me saying that the Street Fighter Alpha animated films are canon to the fucking game.
Did the fusion dance.
No, no. The point is they're not. Though they're interesting takes of the Alpha series, they're not canon. And like for instance, Street Fighter Alpha Generations, I felt they did a good job with Akuma's story, right? And adding some lore to it. But yet again, it's not canon. It doesn't mean anything. It could be argued that in the collector's edition, well, the 25th anniversary or whatever, Street Fighter V that came with all the CDs and the statue of Ryu or whatever, it had a jury film. That, I believe, is actually canon to Street Fighter 4, which means it's canon to the games to some extent. But then yet again, nothing makes sense in Street Fighter anymore. And this goes into the end game. Street Fighter 6 story is going to go a few ways. This is me speculating, by the way. I don't know what way Street Fighter 6's story is really going to go. But Luke being supposedly the face of Street Fighter 6, this last DLC character. Now, either G is going to be the big bad of 6 or not, or is it going to be a new villain, or it's going to be Neo Shadowlune with Ed because somehow Bison lives through the Psycho Power. So Bison ain't going anywhere anytime soon, right?
He will live forever.
I know Bison's going to be around till the end of time. And then you have Rose. Rose, is very possible the story may go the route of Rose and just like a Back to the Future kind of thing. So then it could justify them giving people that alpha Charlie Nash and not the Franken Nash, and them doing all these things like bringing Gen back and all this stuff, because it is speculated that a lot of the characters are dead pretty much in Street Fighter right now. Like supposedly Gen's dead, the old guy or whatever and whatnot. So what I'm trying to get at is that Street Fighter's story and lore is like throwing eggs to the wall. It's literally all over the place. Your shit don't make sense anymore.
Rose will be the final boss.
Yeah, she'll just go and say, you know something, my tarot cards will rewind time and all this confusion, all this bullshit will be erased and we're going to go back in time, right? And everything's going to be fixed. There, Street Fighter 6, the story. It's going to be a story of time travel. And then you're going to see a young Ryu again on the journey, that never-ending journey that never freaking ends. Continue his journey. To be the greatest warrior in the universe. Oh, man. So, those are my feelings of the Street Fighter 6 story. It's literally all over the damn place. The shit don't make sense anymore. I mean, especially, hey, don't get me wrong. It's great that the directors or whatever, right now, the game producers or whatever, are being more, I guess, vocal about behind the scenes stuff. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I'm not here to tell these producers what to do. In my opinion, I just think that they should just be more mindful of how they put their tweets out there, because you're going to have these fanboys or whatever going fucking wild with theories and shit. And then you're going to have people arguing among each other with all this confusion. And right now, you know, it's no secret that Street Fighter 6 is going to eventually be announced. And then there's going to be this big-ass hype train. It'd be a big-ass hype train. And as soon as this game comes out 3 months later, it's dead. And you're just going to see tournament players constantly making videos like they do now of Street Fighter. It's you know, I'm done talking about Street Fighter right now. I don't want to talk about this shit anymore.
He tired himself out, everyone.
Yeah, Street Fighter right now just... Anyways. On to other interesting things that occurred. And going back to Capcom, me and Azure briefly talked about this before, but it seems like the people behind Resident Evil don't know where the future is gonna go with the story. um, it's like it almost comes off like they're like, I guess to keep the suspense or the horror going. I guess like how to keep the game fresh going forward. And I don't know. For me, I feel that Resident Evil 8 was fairly good. I mean, it had a lot of great moments in 8. And plus, there's still the DLC that has yet to release, so no one knows if the DLC is going to go forward or it's going to go back and tell more things or events that happened in this village or who knows where. And I'm trying to
forward while going backwards.
Yeah, because I'm trying to watch what I say because Nova hasn't finished 8, so I don't want to spoil anything. But I'm assuming Nova's. I'm assuming you're close to the end of the game at this point.
I'll get there.
Yeah, you're pretty close because you passed the house, the baby fetus monster thing.
Dollhouse.
Yeah, that place. That place is definitely rememberable. So I don't know. For me, I think that Resident. I mean, I see it's hard to talk about without spoiling, but I just think Resident Evil 9.
Go ahead.
Or whatever 9. I think that they have to. I don't know if they're gonna do like a time jump with 9, or if they're just going to do things in a way that's. I don't know. I'm trying to watch what I say because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, that's it for Resident Evil for now. Anyways, seems like the people behind it are just a bit worried on how they're gonna keep the flow going. But
Resident Evil 9, the main character is going to be Moira.
You really want to see her come back, huh? I'm sorry to tell
I like
you.
Revelations.
I like Revelations too, but she's definitely not coming back in no. I mean, I'll be surprised. I just don't see her coming back in 9.
So I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna like take all the younger generation people and put them in there, like Moira, Sherry, Jake.
Well, Sherry technically will be older. Jake,
Technically,
no one knows what the hell happened to Jake. He just he went to what, the middle, in the end of Resident Evil 6, to the Middle East, and he fucking disappeared. Like, oh no, Jake is gone. Like, he went to the Middle East, he was never seen again. Like, that's what happened.
He's
to Jake.
chilling.
Yeah, pretty much. He does have the Wesker's blood, so
he's doing Jake stuff. Okay.
Yeah, he's teleporting, doing all types of wild stuff. Who knows what?
Right.
Chris,
Watch.
he's
in the next game. It's gonna be like Jake and Sherry had a kid.
That'd be pretty crazy. But
that'd be awesome.
But I don't think
of the
so.
Powers that they'd have.
I don't think so though.
The kid would have Jake's powers and Sherry's recovery powers too.
Now, what if, worst case scenario, this would be crazy. What if it was a darker turn and let's say Jake didn't make it? Let's say things went south, him being in the Middle East or something. That'd be a crazy plot twist.
They have to explain what happened.
That will be a whole game, Revelation Street next time. Who knows?
It would essentially be what was the one? What was the Halo where everyone died?
Halo Reach.
It would be the Reach of Resident Evil. It's like you're playing this knowing.
Do you know how much people would be pissed if they released like a Revelation 3 and Jake is like the main character, and at the very end he dies like in some crazy death scene or whatever, and then players would be like, that would piss off so many people in a way. Because I know there's a lot of people that don't care for Jake, but imagine you're playing like the main character, right? And then that happens. It'll be like a shock kind of thing to the player. It'll be like, what? Like, you got through all this and the character's dead? Like, that'd be crazy.
I liked Jake.
I don't know. 6 was I don't know. I always had mixed feelings about 6. I felt like they could have done more with the story because it was definitely the more action heavy of the series, that's for sure. But I felt like they could have had explored more things, especially with Tricell, and it was just like eh. And instead we
More
got
like
a
try
Corp.
hard. What?
Good old Corp. And you know what's weird is that apparently Corp is somehow canon to the actual lore of Resident Evil.
I mean, they started it all. They're Umbrella. I don't know
Like you
what to
got Umbrella
say.
Blue, you got Umbrella Red now, you got all kinds of umbrellas going on. But besides Resident Evil, we're gonna move past that. Got some interesting things. This is gonna be a bit more going back into some of the more spicier stuff here, and that is YouTube. So YouTube decided.
Oh, no.
YouTube decided it's going to remove the dislike button. So YouTube on YouTube creators account, anyways. I don't know if they put this on their main account. I would assume they did, but I'm not sure. But anyways, YouTube creators, they put on their account. Earlier this year, we launched an experiment making the dislike count private. Based on what we learned, the dislike button is staying, but the count is now private to creators in studio to help prevent targeting dislike attacks. We know not everyone will agree with this decision, but we believe it is the right thing to do to make YouTube safer for creators to express themselves. To learn more about how we reach this decision,
any sense.
check out the blog or watch, and then they put a link to the video or whatever for people to watch if they want more. About
That makes zero sense.
Why is that, Nova?
Because it's like they literally just said better for them to express themselves. Well, if you don't like something, how are you supposed to express that? And then he might say, "Oh, the comments." Well, here's the thing: when you say certain things in the comments, YouTube comes after you.
Oh, not only
So
that, I've
it's just
noticed
so they can control everything. That doesn't make any sense.
it's weird because I noticed with some comments they disappear.
Yeah,
I don't know if you
exactly.
experienced that, but I've noticed like on my channel when people comment sometimes it just totally
Yo,
vanishes. Like it just
most of the time,
disappears.
YouTube doesn't even alert me when I get comments, and I'm just like, okay. Like I started making it a point to like check like the comment section in on like the YouTube studio, because
Mm-hmm.
YouTube does not alert me when people comment, and I'm just like, what the hell? I'll see a comment and they were like, oh yeah, this was like a week ago or 2 days ago or this. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, why YouTube? So it's not like I'm ignoring
Yeah.
people. It's just I don't see it.
For me, I experienced the crazier things. Like on my channel, I experienced things that are so weird. Like Nova knows a lot of these things because it's, for instance, right? The Mortal Kombat
Nobody
playthroughs,
knows.
huh?
Nothing, nothing. Go ahead.
For instance, the Mortal Kombat playthroughs, right? Um, Channel was hit like with all the playthroughs so far between 1 all the way to 4. I got hit with more than 50 copyright claims. I just
Damn,
Yeah,
son.
and I have the
No, I
receipts.
know. You told me.
Yeah, and it was crazy. I was like, "What is this?" So I looked over these claims, and I felt that these claims were not fair and they weren't right, and plus they didn't make any sense. So I decided that I was going to dispute all 50 plus of these claims. It's been like a month, and most, if not all, these claims were released. Yet again, I don't know why in the hell these were claimed in the first place. Now, in another interesting case, though, that I experienced on channel was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Tournament Fighter whatever edition that I did a playthrough of. And that was a weird one because I was getting hit with false copyright claims on those playthroughs. I disputed some of those claims and then they were let go on one video, but in the other video, they let it go and then they reclaimed it. And the crazy part about those claims were It was claiming music that was not even in the playthrough. That's the part, and you could tell these were like throwaway accounts, like the names, because you could see like the song that they're claiming or whatever, and then the name. There, a lot of it was just bullshit. So what I decided to do was, unfortunately, I removed, I muted out all the segments that these false claims were happening. And well, now this is where it gets weird. I did that on most of the playthroughs. And then on the last two playthroughs, I think it was the last two or the last one, I'm not sure, with Ivan Ooze, it was not claimed. Nothing was claimed in that one. Now, I've said this before, like it's in the description of those videos, but if for those who are curious and want to watch those playthroughs with everything intact, I recommend going to the Odyssey channel or the Bishu channel, but you're not going to see that on YouTube. I mean, the YouTube version is all screwed up because, well, it was falsely claimed and that was a mess. But yeah, that was a weird one because the people that were claiming it were doing it on purpose. And then I called out some of these because some of them have a Twitter, some of these supposed agencies, and I went to their sites and I looked up specifically the songs, and they had no ownership of anything. And the sites even look sketchy. The sites look like throwaway sites. But as usual, YouTube's system is you're guilty until proven innocent, right? And then a while ago, because you remember this was during the Mortal Kombat playthrough. Mortal Kombat, I don't know if it was like 10, well, it's like 11, 12, whatever. It was with Sentry. I think it was a 12. I mean, not 12, 11. Shit, it's been so many Mortal Kombats. Look, man. It was the Mortal Kombat with Sentry. It's been some time. But anyways, I did a video on this. And that video was claimed by a news network in India. I can't make that up. Yeah, I did a video on it. I remember I told you in the video I show like the copyright claim and stuff. It's crazy. And then it was let go after a while. But why did it happen in the first place? And yet again, there's no explanation to these things. And then I had playthroughs of pretty much all of the Walking Dead Telltale games on the channel, which are no longer there because they were all blocked worldwide. They were only viewable in the United States. Out of nowhere, they were just all blocked. And you can't dispute blocked videos, like at least that I know of. So I'm like, no one can really view my playthroughs of the Telltale Walking Dead games. It limits the audience. It limits the reach. YouTube is... Oh, man. And then I did an interesting experiment, which I talked about this with Nova, I'd say about a couple days ago. So for those who don't know, there's a TikTok, which I have mixed feelings about TikTok, first off. But anyways, there's a TikTok to the podcast channel, right? But it's specifically for the hot takes. Basically, the hot takes are just snippets that I take from the podcast and then hot take, if that makes any sense. But anyways, I put on at the same day hot takes on two, well, this 3 now, but 2 on TikTok at the time and 2 on the podcast channel, right? Tell me how in a day on TikTok it almost has the 2 videos together almost has 1,000 views, but on YouTube it barely cracked that.
Because YouTube hates everyone.
That to me is crazy. So there's definitely something wrong with their algorithm or whatever. And then now circling back all the way to their recent change to their dislike button. At this point, if they're going to remove the dislike button, which sounds like they're going to go through with this, and in my opinion, I feel that the reason why YouTube is doing this, it has to do more with politics. All right. It clearly has to do with El Presidente, Sleepy Joe. So I think that's what it has to do with. In my opinion, I think it's more political. And that's why they're removing the dislike. Because all of a sudden, now they're doing it for small content creators. And that's bullshit. And I'm a small content creator. I mean, I can tell y'all, like, I've been doing this for a while. And for those who don't know, like, the gaming channel stuff, I've been doing the gaming stuff for a while. And it's been nothing but a grind and almost a nightmare to grow on this platform. it just it makes you wonder, like, is the channel being suppressed? Is that what it is? Like, it's a lot of things, and YouTube's TOS is constantly changing, forever
Trust
changing,
me.
huh?
It's like there's a lot of shady stuff going on. Remember I told you about that video? There's a few videos like that on my
Oh,
channel that are weird.
we're gonna go down this rabbit hole now.
The likes and the dislike ratio and all that, and I'm just like, what? I'm like, this doesn't make any kind of sense.
Okay, so Azure mentions video, so let me clarify what Azure means, sort of, by this. So there's other content creators that have exposed what I will say the darker side of YouTube. There is a certain phrase, if you type in, let's just say it goes with the word yoga. I'm gonna leave it like that. It goes with the word yoga.
It's naked yoga.
No, we can't say that. Look,
Why not?
don't type it in. Don't type it
Naked's
in.
not a bad word.
Look, I'm not suggesting anyone type this in. Period. But this phrase, if typed into YouTube, it pops up with some extremely questionable content. And I'm talking about like very questionable content. Like,
Naked yoga.
yeah, like it's crazy the stuff that pops up when you know you type that phrase up, because it's like what the hell, you know, it's pretty nuts. And that's a phrase that's yeah, that's, I'm trying to, you know, like I said, I'm not suggesting anyone type that up on YouTube and stuff, but just be aware. It's extremely questionable stuff. That's what I will say. It's the same with the supposed breastfeeding videos on YouTube, which are extremely questionable as well. That they highlight them as education, and I'm like, a lot of these videos do not look as they claim. But yet this is YouTube, right? And then there's that whole controversy that happened a couple months ago with the videos of the two gay guys banging on video.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's on YouTube.
I knew nothing about this.
Yeah, they didn't. They're not like. Look, man, there's stuff on YouTube that it baffles me that this content's on the platform, and yet people get punished for less, or even mentioning some things. Like, there's some things I can't mention. Like, all right, now I do not feel comfortable mentioning this stuff in the podcast, because it's like, I shouldn't get in trouble for stuff that is clearly on this platform that not only I know, but many people know of. Like, that's the part I find crazy. Like, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube that YouTube just rolls their eyes at. It's nuts. It really is. But now, I'm going to move on to the next topic. Toxicity in the fighting game community.
Didn't you already kind of cover this?
Oh, I did, didn't I? See, that's how you know. That's how you know this is like I'm all over the place today. Oh boy. So I guess we're not talking about toxicity in the fighting game community, because I just covered that. So what else here? And censorship. Azure. I know you have quite a bit to say about the animes. Oh, talking about anime. So there's that meme going around, right?
Yeah.
You know, the one politician that memed, apparently. So news came out that Nancy Pelosi, right, she wants this guy investigated for this meme, right? Look, I saw the meme. It's funny.
That was hilarious.
The fact that this guy's gonna get investigated, if that for that, is ridiculous. I think it's really stupid.
It is stupid.
And I'm just like, I've seen worse from. Look, I don't care where people stand politically, left or right, but I've seen a lot worse from the left. and that gets ignored. But oh, put an anime meme, and you're a little bit towards the right, and oh my gosh, this is evil. It's an abomination. It's like what? That doesn't make sense. Um, but I think the meme's funny. Uh, but it seems like not everyone has that same sense of humor. So,
Well, too bad.
and it's a meme. A meme ain't meant to be serious. It's. I mean, it's usually not meant to be serious, anyways. But unfortunately, that's just the climate we live in. And now let's talk about DC Comics and Marvel Comics. Um, Man, the stuff that Marvel has been doing and is continuing to do. So it seems like they're gonna go through with this whole Wolverine thing. They're doubling down. DC is doubling down on the Superman Son situation. I guess they're assuming they're gonna sell so many copies of the comic, which I said before and I'll say it again. Like, um, most likely due to all this controversy from DC's side of things, they're probably gonna just destroy that whole universe, and then they're gonna create the excuse, oh, here's a new universe, because they usually do that. That's the cop out.
They're gonna Thanos snap it.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna Thanos snap it, and then they're gonna be like, oh look, new universe, the new 55, 6, 7, whatever they're gonna call it next. So
Hooray.
yeah, and then that's what they do. It's the same with what's going on with the rumor with Wolverine, with the Marvel comic stuff, that supposedly Wolverine might be receiving the D or getting the D. I'm like, first to this that doesn't even make sense. First off, why that's happening to that character?
Those were the same thing.
It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. But on to other things. So apparently, Jump Forces? Jump Forces is getting delisted in early 2022. Apparently, and to be honest, I don't care. I don't care because how can I say it's not the game itself so much. It's just like the game doesn't sell well. The online dies after 3 or 4 months because for whatever reason these companies think the content creators are going to keep carrying the water till the end of time, and then all of a sudden the game gets delisted and everyone's crying. Like, is anyone really surprised by this shit? Like, not that far long ago, Capcom announced they were going to be delisting Street Fighter X Tekken, and people start freaking out about that. I'm like, but that game was trash to oblivion when it came out. Especially with the DLC practices that Capcom did, which were very, very questionable. So I'm like, with Jump Forces getting delisted, I mean, it is what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back somehow, maybe. I don't know. But things happen. I mean, it'll be back. Maybe. You know something?
Never.
Better yet, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens. I would not be surprised if this happens. What if? Okay, because there's no secret that Arc System Works made Dragon Ball Fighter Z, right? But what if?
Okay.
What if? Check this shit out. What if they hired Arc System Works to do a Jump Force fighting game? I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. Especially with the style they pulled off. Like that, that will sell. That will sell like crazy. Because it'll be obviously it'll be a different style, of course. It won't be like the last two Jump Force based games, which were like arena fighters. So, I mean, not everyone's into arena fighters. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I enjoy arena fighters, but if they were to change the formula and hire Arc System Works and be like, hey, will you guys do, if a Fighter Z like Jump Force, then it'll sell like candy. I think it would. Because the art will pop, everybody be overhyping it to oblivion. Like, you got Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh my goodness. Blue Eyes White Dragon. JoJo Bizarre Adventures. Goku and his Dragon Balls. You got everybody up in there. What?
No, I just said damn.
I mean, it's true though. Like they're gonna add everybody in there. Broly, maybe, maybe not. Oh man.
Mm-mm-mm.
And then there's the whole mystery of Sega Kagura 7. It seems like it's dead in the water, or it may just never happen.
That is just yeah.
What you mean?
That's on hold indefinitely. No one knows.
Mm, to me, I think with Sony's policies and stuff, it's gonna just make it harder for a lot of developers to do what they want to do on that platform. And Sega Kagura 7, I just don't see it being a thing.
No,
Not
who
anytime
knows?
soon, anyways.
Who knows? He might remake it from the ground up, and it might come out somehow on different platforms or something,
Or
or or on multiple.
or he could make two different versions.
Honestly, that's what a lot of developers should do, but they won't because too much time and energy is the excuse.
Time and resources.
But I'd gladly just wait for two different versions and then
Well,
get the better one.
yeah, I mean that makes the most sense if you think about it. Like if, but then yet again, we don't know if Sony has like a exclusivity deal with Seven, and maybe
that
that's why it's stuck.
yeah,
Like we
that's what I
don't.
was saying. In the background, who knows what's going on with them? But Takaki said he's just like, yeah, he's like it's on, it's on hold indefinitely, and just you just never heard about it ever again.
Yeah, it just went off into the ether pretty much. Nope, that's pretty much for Sega Kagura for now. That is, but talking about Sega Kagura, there was this video I saw on the YouTubes from another content creator, and look, I'm gonna say right now, I got nothing against this content creator. I get they're doing their thing, but this guy titled his video along the lines of, the this is the best DLC for Dead or Alive 5 last round, right? And I had nothing but it annoyed me so much because I'm like the whole video is really this guy showing off these costumes for Dead or Alive 5, and I'm like, you're telling the new Team Ninja that this is okay. Keep pooping out these guest costumes, even though this is old news because these guest costumes are old, but you're enabling them to be like, yeah, when you make DOA 7, just continue the same practices. Like first off, people, in my opinion, people shouldn't be supporting these bad business practices, and that's why with Dead or Alive 6 they continued these bad business practices because people download these DLCs. So how is Chloe Temple going to understand anything when people are out there and they're like, yeah, I'm going to just buy me this bikini costume today, and then I'm going to buy me this Sega Kagura costume. How about this? How about instead of downloading a fucking Sega Kagura costume, how about you ask them for a Sega Kagura character? I don't understand the logic anymore. It's like you're gonna settle for less. And that's what happened with Dead or Alive 5 last round. Like when I saw these Guilty Gear costumes, I'm like, why Guilty Gear? Why not just ask for a character? I mean, it's already enough that the costume doesn't make sense. Why not throw in the character? It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense anyway anymore. But each their own, man. I can't. I'm not telling people what to do with the money or whatever. I'm just saying for me, I just think the whole thing was stupid. But besides that, the Mortal Kombat HD. So apparently, for those who don't know, 6 years ago, Ed Boon announced that a Mortal Kombat HD collection, which pretty much is dead, in my opinion, is dead. So Event Hubs did an article basically titling this article, Ed Boon still hasn't delivered on his promise to tell fans why Mortal Kombat HD collection was canceled 6 years later. Or 6 years ago or whatever. Look, this is why Ed Boon ain't saying nothing in my opinion, because he doesn't care. There you go. Problem solved. Like,
Woo.
yeah, that's what it is. Like, if you have not got an answer for 6 years, it's probably because the man just doesn't care. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying I don't know how he really feels about it. I mean, he is the creator, but I'm like, has anyone forgotten that he did make other Mortal Kombat games? Like, I mean, I could imagine the budgets on those games were a lot, so I just don't think they're gonna have time to go back and just say, "Hey, let's retool this." And I'm gonna keep it realistic. A lot of these older games, they don't age well. With Mortal Kombat HD, yeah, there's a audience there, but will it sell like it did years ago? No. I mean, this is eye candy in my opinion. At this point, it's like for someone like me that played through these Mortal Kombat games, the first two games are repetitive. They're not for everyone unless they're going to retool the difficulty and the AI and all that. I can see a lot of people complaining that the game's going to be hard. That's just what it is. Mortal Kombat 3 is also repetitive, but as the saying goes, if you sit there and you practice and you get good, then the game is beatable. Then you have Mortal Kombat 4. Mortal Kombat 4 was fairly good, but it also has issues. So to me, it's like Mortal Kombat HD. If there's been no answer for it, to put it simply, it's just not coming. That's it. It's a done deal. And that's Mortal Kombat HD in a nutshell. Now, on to the next thing, and that is a King of Fighters. The new character Whip was announced. She's not really new. She appeared in previous ones in the past. But the overhype of this character is ridiculous. It's like there's a lot of hype behind King of Fighters 15 right now, and I'm just like, man, they keep saying shatter all expectations, and this is not me bashing SNK. I enjoy a lot of their games, but at the same time, it's like there's a real thing called overhype. There is, and the dangers of overhyping something is when it comes out, it's gonna die off fast. And this happens with a lot of fighting games. There's all this hype. This reminds me, not that far long ago, the Nickelodeon fighting game came out, right? Now, you don't hear no one talking about this fucking game. No one's talking about it. There was all this hype leading up to it. Oh man, they added this Nickelodeon character. They added from freaking what's that? Aang, yeah, Aang, whatever, from Airbender. They added this character. They added Ren and Stimpy. Look. The point is that I'm trying to get at here is that SpongeBob was announced for this game, and I'm not bashing on this Nickelodeon fighting game. I think it's a great idea, right? It's the Smash Bros for this game, but it's dead in the water already. It is like no one's talking about it anymore because now everyone moves on to the next thing. Right now, everything's King of Fighters. And then as soon as they announce the DLC character, which I'm calling it right now, as soon as this Nickelodeon fighting game announces a DLC character, then everyone's going to talk about it for the first 2 weeks. And all these content creators are going to make like these videos, how to learn this and how to do that, blah, blah, blah. And then it fades off into the ether again.
That's basically what happens with every game.
Yeah. And it fucking sucks. There you go. I said it. Unpopular opinion.
You can't be excited about everything forever.
But that's the problem. Some people want it to go forever. Think about it. It's like the Mortal Kombat HD collection. That game, the first Mortal Kombat released like what, roughly around 92. Are there people out there that still want to play that? I'm sorry to say, I enjoy the Mortal Kombat series. Yeah, I will play it. But if you're talking about appealing to a new generation, good luck. The generation now, in my opinion, look. Some people have short attention spans. Okay, so I just don't see Mortal Kombat 2 popping off like that. Or Mortal Kombat 1. I mean, yeah, they can HD it and all that. I just don't see it working.
Well, they would have to remake it.
Well, you see, Nova, there was this thing called Mortal Kombat 11, and they had this whole back in time thing with Chronica. She came out of nowhere and she was like, I'm going to rewind time and bring back dead people and do all. So technically, Mortal Kombat 1 was already remade a while ago.
No. I said you would have to remake the game.
They did. They did technically.
How? You
When
no,
they
they didn't.
hold on. Mortal Kombat when it got released a couple years ago on the PS3 and Xbox 360, it was just called Mortal Kombat. Technically, that was a remake. That was retelling the story of the first, I believe, first two tournaments, or possibly three. Some will argue said they skipped three, but that was a remake of the first couple Mortal Kombats. No, I mean technically it went to 1, 2, 3, but nonetheless, that was a remake, arguably. Given the character models were funny looking, but yeah, there you go. Like if they re-released that one, I understand. I mean, given you won't get the Freddy Krueger guest character and stuff because of licensing issues.
No. Once again, they need to just remake it
It's
with
not
their technology now. The same way they did the most recent Mortal Kombat is the way they should just remake
like if
the
that's
first.
if that's the case.
Oh,
If
you
that,
gotta. It's like you gotta do the Capcom effect. Just remake it.
look, if that's the case, this is why I see. If they're gonna do it that way, they might as well go to the very first tournament. Screw remaking the first one with Liu Kang. I'm talking about go back to the very first Mortal Kombat tournament with the great Kung Lao. That to me will make more sense because at this point it's like why just go to the first one? Just skip all the way to the very first tournament. Because a lot of the drama in Mortal Kombat seems to all connect back to this first tournament that the players, even though it's hinted out left and right, the players barely get to see. I mean, you always hear stories of the great Kung Lao defeated the blah blah blah, but I'm like, if that's the case, just go back to the very first tournament. Because at the end of the Mortal Kombat aftermath story, you see, I mean, it's assumed that that's Kung Lao, the great Kung Lao, or whatever. So I'm like,
Do
why not
people want that though? Is the question.
say what?
Do people want that though? Is the question.
I don't know, man. That's
Or,
like
or
that's,
do they or do they just want the first one?
but I mean, that could be set for the HD collection. Like they could release that, it doesn't mean it's gonna sell. That's like people right now asking for old Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like, yeah, Maximilian started a movement and all this for it, but is it gonna be popping off like hotcakes when it releases? In my opinion, no. I just don't see it doing that well. I think it's gonna die off pretty fast. It's just there's a difference when you're a content creator and you're just trying to find ways to keep creating content. And then you being a fan and you just want something to come back because you just want to have it and experience it again. And then you get bored. And then you just drop it. Then you just shelve it. For instance, I have a bunch of games, right? I don't play them all. Some of them are very old.
For shame.
No, I mean, what? No, I have PlayStation 2, Xbox. I have like a library of games, but it's just like
What's that? Ancient technology.
a that you see, that's the thing. How dare you say that's ancient technology? That's
Because it
that's
is
legendary technology.
ancient technology.
Only wise, smart people can run the ancient technology.
You gotta plug it in.
Many sockets. Damn. But yeah, I mean, at this point, everything is just meh. And let me see, is there anything else? So, besides that, yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this podcast for now. I think we covered quite a bit. Talked about some spicy topics for the most part. And yeah, that's pretty much at the end of this. Thank Azure for being on board. And actually, hold up. Before ending this podcast, I almost forgot to mention World of Warcraft. So, World of Warcraft. Now, it's no secret that Blizzard is not doing well, right? They're changing Cole McCree's name. Well, McCree's name now he's Cole Cassidy, actually. So it's McCree, now he's Cole Cassidy. And then Overwatch has been delayed to who knows when. So Overwatch 2. At this point, I'm wondering if anyone really cares if that game comes out or not.
Nope. Just make more hentai.
Damn. And then it's like WoW's not doing well. Obviously, WoW just keeps going down and down and down. Um, and that's a game that, well, at least someone that we know name we call him Shade, but that's his name, Shade. He plays a lot of WoW, so he will most likely.
Played.
Oh, what do you
He
mean
does not
play? Oh,
wow
oh,
anymore
why doesn't he wow anymore?
because it's not so wow anymore.
Which means it's not so wow anymore.
It's nothing to wow about.
What do you mean it's nothing to wow about?
Just change shit.
What you mean?
It's like the story just went downhill.
Oh, here we go. What you mean the story
And
went downhill?
then all the stuff occurred with the actual company. So now it's just on fire. Blizzard is on fire, which is hilarious and ironic because of their name.
But the blizzard can always take out the fire.
No, no, it can't.
Damn. I guess this has to do with the fact that a lot of the player base for WoW like migrated into Final Fantasy.
That's because WoW shot themselves in the foot.
They shot themselves or they blew their foot off.
It's like, yeah, so it's like our friend showed me like the scene and stuff, like where the story just went downhill, and I'm just like,
Oh,
okay.
so
And then he explained it to me in more detail,
so what
and
scene
because
is this?
I'm just like, okay, I'm like, I can see how that'll piss a lot of people off.
But what's the scene in question?
uh, Apparently, if I remember, so I don't play WoW, so trying to remember the characters' names,
So
but I
there
think
may
her
be
name was like,
some things wrong, but Azure's trying to make up
yeah,
what he
it's
knows.
like what I remember. I think the character's name is like Sylvanas or something like that. And like she was supposed to be the big bad. Like for the longest time, I guess she was. And then it turns out that she was actually working for someone else who was another big bad. And then like they had disagreement. And then she kind of like, I don't know, she kind of went against the other big bad. And it was kind of cheesy and stupid. And just yeah, I'm just like, huh. I'm like, I can see. Like I said, he explained it to me in more detail. Our other friend who actually plays the game, and I'm just like, okay. I'm like, I can see how this could get people a little angry and disappointed and whatnot and everything. It's like apparently she did all this stuff, and all of a sudden it turns out that she's just working for someone else. And honestly, she's was kind of powerless, in in that whole altercation that they had. So yeah,
Wow.
pretty much. It's just like,
Wow.
wow, it's like, wait a minute. Everything was messed up because of you, and it turns out you're just lame.
Wow.
And then all the real world stuff happened with the company itself, and so that's why a lot of people left.
Yeah, I mean, Blizzard is it's definitely going under. That's for sure. Um, I don't see it
Blizzard's
happening.
covered in snow.
Yeah, I don't see it happening anytime soon though. But I think that their days are kind of not
Cold.
looking so good as time goes on. Because I mean, the stuff Blizzard has been doing, like Activision Blizzard, like put it like this: expect to see more microtransactions in Call of Duty. I mean Call of Duty, and expect to see possibly the same patterns in the next Overwatch. I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing Overwatch did. Instead of loot boxes, you're getting like all these microtransactions and characters and classes or whatever crap they're gonna use or excuse they're gonna use to milk that game to oblivion because it's bound to happen. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for now on this whole thing. Covered a lot.
You're
Oh man, I was trying
if
to.
you made it this far, God bless you.
So sad. Bless you, Louise. Okay. But yeah, if you made it this far, thanks. I really do appreciate I guess the viewership and all that. Depending on where you're listening this to, feel free to follow or subscribe, depending on where you're listening to the podcast. That is, and yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I thank all those who tuned in, and thanks for listening and everything, and really do appreciate it. And that's pretty much the end of this podcast. Feel free to follow all the links or subscribe or whatever. They'll be available in the description if you're watching this on YouTube or any other video site that I have this podcast on. But if you're listening to this, there'll be a link somewhere around.
Do it. Click those links.
If. Also, no. I thank AzureNova for bearing this again. Because we done this quite a bit, so at least this time we got it right, and yeah. So I thank Azure for tuning, being a guest, and see where this goes. Also, I'll leave a link down below in the description of the video, anyways, for Azure stuff. Anyways, as always, this is Rayuka here saying thanks for listening, and until next time, everyone, sayonara.
See you later, everyone.